Now, I've reviewed just about every Vivitar Creator Series item that I can find at Walmart. So when I saw this 9-inch full color key light, I decided, I guess I gotta review this one too. Hey everybody, it's Chris from Family Geekery, and today we're going to be taking a look at this Vivitar Creator Series 9-inch full color key light, which is obviously a cheaper version or competitor of the Elgato Key Light Air, but this one does have RGB. So we can see right on the front that it says it's USB powered. It's got adjustable height, so it comes with a stand, it comes with a phone holder, and most importantly, it's got white and color LEDs in there. Looks like it comes with a little remote also to control it, because that's one thing that it's not going to have that Elgato has, and that's full control through their software. Let's go ahead and turn this around and see what's on the back of the box. Now this is obviously targeted towards streamers and gamers and basically any kind of content creator, and we all know that RGB makes everything better. But looking at the back, we see that there is an IR remote control. There's a weighted base that's going to hold this thing hopefully somewhat steady. It'll extend up to 35 inches, and it's got this adjustable phone holder. So all in all, if it turns out to be a decent light, it's actually a decent value, because these things, you can get them between $25 and $30 depending on where you find them, which Walmart you go to, or if you use the walmart.com. And for that price, if it's a decent light, I think that's a pretty decent value. And like I said, I've reviewed a lot of Vivitar stuff. Some of it turns out to be really decent. Some of it turns out to be not so good. But let's go ahead and open this up and check it out. Alright, let's see what came in the box here. So we got obviously the panel light itself with what says to be a 6-foot cord, so that's pretty nice. We've got the attachment here that's going to be the height adjustable stand, and looks like we're going to just shove this guy right up into here and then use this included screw to tighten that down, so we'll test that out. We've also got a screw here to adjust, the angle that the light is shining on you. So we're going to put this thing together and give it a little shake test to see if I can tighten this down enough that this thing won't move by itself. We've probably all had some kind of cheap ring light that this thing will just eventually just, the weight of it will make it fall down. So we'll test that out. We've got the phone holder here, and it looks like that this is just going to clip onto any part of the stand that we want, and then we can adjust this obviously to any angle, both horizontal and portrait, and put our phone in there, so we'll test that out. And then we've got the weighted base, which is actually heavier than I thought it was going to be, and for some reason it seems heavier than the whole package itself was, so I'm kind of impressed with how heavy this base is. It looks like, unless you're going to just absolutely shove this thing over, it's going to hold that stand with no problem. Also, we've got the included remote control, which doesn't have individual controls for all the different lights, but it looks like it's going to let us change between scenes, change some brightnesses, change some colors, change between white and RGB. So we'll go ahead and check that out. The panel itself has 66 LEDs in white and then 66 RGB LEDs. And we'll do a test between the output of this and the output of a typical Elgato Air, because all around this studio, that's what I use to keep all these scenes looking so awesome, is a combination of Elgato key lights and key light airs. So let's go ahead and get this thing assembled and plugged in, and let's start looking at the lights. Now, as I'm assembling this, I noticed that this mount up here is a typical light mount, but it does have a little plastic screw cap here that if you take that off, you've got a 1/4 thread. So you could actually put something other than this key light on top. That's pretty cool. Alright, now before I turn this thing on, I did want to do a quick little weight test, and I've got this screwed on to the mount itself. I've got this tightened down. I didn't tighten it down as hard as I could, but I just tightened it to where I thought most people would, and I can shake this thing up and down, and it is not losing any angle here in the pivot. So I think you'd be pretty safe to adjust this at any angle, tighten this down, and it's going to stay there. Now this thing is going to be too tall for me to actually show it on my table here, so I just want to test out the stand here first, and then I'll probably just lay this thing down to actually test the panel itself with the lights. But I did want to see how this weighted base worked. Now this is not obviously extended all the way up to the full 3 feet that it'll do, but it's okay. It's not quite as sturdy as I thought. It is a decent heavy base, but like I said, unless you're actually pushing on the thing, I don't think any kind of wiggling of your desk or whatever you get this set on, if you get it set on the floor, I don't think anything's going to make it fall over by itself. You'd have to actually actively hit it. So let's go ahead and lay this thing down, plug it in, and start looking at the light modes. Alright, so they call this a 9-inch light panel, and just to give you some reference to size, here's an iPhone. This is a 12X Max, so you can see how big this is versus that. We're going to actually test this phone with the phone holder once we attach that. But let's go ahead and look at the lights. So using the handy dandy remote here, I've got the USB cable just plugged into a USB like a phone charger. It doesn't come with an included power adapter, but basically any phone or tablet charger is going to work for it. So let's go ahead and turn this on. And keep in mind, you're looking at this light through this camera, so it's not going to look as good on the camera as it does in person. And it's got a pretty neat rainbow effect here. So let's go ahead and hit some of these buttons. Let's just go with plain white. And that right there, that's actually a decent looking light. So it's got a soft light to it. It reminds me a lot of the Elgato panel. It's not going to be color adjustable or temperature adjustable, I don't think. But let's go ahead and see what some of these buttons do. So right now I'm hitting the brightness up. This must be the max brightness. So let's go ahead and turn it down. And it looks like it went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 6 different levels of brightness for the plain white. And then there's actually a button in the middle that says max bright, which must be the max brightness that I'm using with up and down arrows. So it just gives you a quick way to turn that up. That's pretty cool. My right and left, that's going to get into color modes. So let's see what the tune does. That's going to change colors also. So it looks like there's no temperature control, but that's to be expected. I mean, this thing's $25-$30, so no big deal. So let's go ahead and hit this color mode here. And at this point, we can tune through several different colors. And if you're seeing any kind of like blotchiness in some of these colors, like for example some of these, like here, it looks kind of blotchy on the camera. It's not near as noticeable in real life. So it looks like it's got all your basic colors that you may want, and then we can adjust the brightness is probably the same amount of levels. Hit that max bright button and it brings it up full bright. Again, what I'm seeing through the camera as I'm going through the different brightness levels, it looks like it's changing the color, but it's really not. It's not changing the color, to a darker color. It's just changing the brightness, and that just can't be seen with this camera. So let's go through a couple more colors to see what all they are. And like I said, they're all the colors that you would probably want. So let's go ahead and go through the FX now. And here's that one that it started off with. Let's see if we can change that. So the tune buttons don't do anything. The brightness buttons don't do anything. But now as we hit the right and left arrows here, now it looks like it's going through like a color changing fade mode. This looks like it may be a little bit faster color changing fade. And this is actually pretty cool, taking advantage of all those individual LEDs in there, giving kind of a color wipe mode going on. And same thing, just going back and forth, wiping through the colors. And kind of a rotating colors. And then back to this. So not a ton of options, but sometimes having too many options just confuses things, and sometimes you just want a couple different options to choose from, and this does that job. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to compare the brightness of this cheap light with the brightness of an Elgato Key Light Air. So I'm going to dim the lights on my little setup here and have just one light that's right above us stay on. Alright, so I've got just one key light right above us, this overhead light, and I've got it turned on, and it's actually at max brightness right now. And I can turn that up and down using the control software, which, again, is the niftiest part of these Elgatos, being able to control it either with a Stream Deck or with a computer software or with an iPhone software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this guy up to about the same level and turn it on the max brightness and then change between the two. Alright, so I'm going to hold this guy up at about the same height as the existing Elgato light. And right now I just have the Elgato Key Light Air overhead light on at full brightness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that one off and then turn on the Vivitar. Let's go ahead and switch those back just to compare. And then one more time. So yes, there is a noticeable difference between the two, but it's not completely horrible. Like this light right now by itself is doing a decent job lighting up this scene. You can still see the differentiation in colors, so it's not horrible. As we turn it down, you can see it's going to start to lose some of its strength, but at max brightness, it actually looks okay. Now just for fun, I've got the Vivitar by itself, and I'm going to run it through a couple different color choices, starting with this, which is green. And it looks like it's putting out a decent amount of light, that you could actually get that streamer gamer look to you just using this light, either pointed at your face, or you could use this to light up behind you. So not too bad. Alright, the last thing I wanted to do was test out this phone holder. And I'm going to start off by saying this may be the weakest point of it, but this is basically included for free because all the value is really in the light panel itself. So let me explain what I mean. So this thing is a plastic clip that you just spring open and bring around this base. Now, I'm going to assume that as you go higher and higher, this tube is going to get a little bit skinnier. So I tried to put it on the thickest part here. And as I did, what it's got is it's got a metal band that comes around and catches one of these little grooves. And then it's got this little lever here to bend it back and tighten it. Now, what I did was I brought the metal band around and got to this very last groove here. So obviously if you're going to a skinnier part, it would go into some of these farther grooves. But I got to the very last one, and then I went to push this back, and the metal thing sprung off. It flew across my office, and I haven't seen it since. So I may find it someday, but for right now, we're just going to pretend that I did attach this and that it's sturdy on there. And the instructions weren't completely clear, but it did come with a couple different rubber inserts. And I'm guessing on this thickest tube, you probably don't need any rubber insert at all, or else you're going to break it the same way I did. But most importantly, I wanted to test out the sturdiness of this connection here, which is just your standard screw-on friction type connection. So let's go ahead and get this iPhone 12 Max into here and see how sturdy it is. Alright, so this iPhone, again, this is iPhone 12 Max Plus or whatever it's called. This is about as big a phone as you can get into this clip. Now it is inside a lightweight OtterBox, but anything larger than this, which there aren't too many phones that are much larger than this, is not going to fit in here. That being said, I screwed this thing down, and we can see that there is a fair amount of play in it, even though it is screwed down as just basically as tight as I could. But by itself, without me pushing on it, it looks like it is actually holding up pretty well. Now again, that is assuming that this is attached on properly, because we can actually see the weight of the phone is pulling this connection away. So let's pretend that I didn't actually break this clip. I think this is going to hold most phones good enough. So let's go ahead and summarize everything, and I'll basically summarize it by saying the light panel is pretty darn good for its price. The stand is decent, and the phone clip itself, as long as you don't break it on your first try like I did, it's going to hold a phone for you. So all in all, value-wise, I'd say that this thing is pretty good, probably as good as any of the Vivitar products that I've tested out for the price. I really do like these light panels here versus the ring lights. They don't give you that kind of reflection in your glasses. They give you a softer light if you want, and this one is pretty darn good for the price. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about this. Have you grabbed one of these at Walmart and got it set up on your gaming setup? Let me know what you think about it. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Go ahead and check out the channel and see all the other Vivitar Creator Series devices that I have tested out. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. I'll answer anything that I can. I appreciate you watching. If you got something out of this video, if you enjoyed it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. That helps out the channel. If you want to see more, check out the channel. Hit that subscribe button too. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I thank you as always for watching. And until next time, peace out and geek out.